TCT presents Public Report, a look at the issues and events of importance to our viewing area. Now, here is your host.
Hello and welcome to Public Report. I'm Rhonda Webb, your host, and today's program is very informative because it has a lot to do with abuse, domestic abuse and other forms of abuse as well. And Rachel Farley is here with me today, and she is the program director with Underground Railroad. So Rachel, I'd like to welcome you to Public Report.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
You know, you bring a very important topic to discussion today, and it's very emotional too at the same time, and just vitally important that people understand what you have to offer through Underground Railroad. So can we start out with you just telling us a little bit about what Underground Railroad provides to the community?
Absolutely. So Underground Railroad serves victims or survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and human trafficking. We cover the whole spectrum. We provide services to people who have experienced trauma and help them start to move forward from there. And we serve members of Saginaw County and others.
Okay. One thing that I thought was really startling is the statistic that says 1 in 3 women may eventually become a victim of domestic abuse.
Absolutely. So I actually have a master's degree in public health, and violence against women is one of those things that really, it's a public health matter because so many women are affected by it in our community. So chances are, if you know more than 3 women, they've experienced some form of violence against them in their lifetime or will experience that.
Okay. Well, Rachel, let's talk a little bit about your specific role with Underground Railroad.
All right. So I'm our program director. I oversee all of our direct service programming from our emergency shelter all the way through to our supervised visitation program and everything in between.
Wow, okay.
Yes.
Well, considering that there are so many programs associated with Underground Railroad, can you just maybe talk about a few of those or talk about a few of the services that you provide?
Yeah, absolutely. So most people, when you think of Underground Railroad, the first thing that comes to mind is our emergency shelter, and we absolutely have that. We have 46 beds and 19 rooms in our emergency shelter. We also now have a pet shelter so that survivors can bring their pets with them when they are fleeing, which has been a huge bonus for us because that can be a big barrier for women when they're trying to leave a situation. They don't want to leave their pets behind. We have advocacy services available 24/7 where they can call in, get support. We send advocates to the hospital if needed or respond with the police if that's requested with the police.
Okay.
So we also have counseling services available, both intimate partner violence, sexual assault, and children's services, along with co-victim of homicide, which a lot of people don't know. So we do have therapy services for people who've experienced a loved one being a victim of homicide. We also have housing services beyond our shelters. So we have transitional and rapid rehousing services as well as permanent supportive housing. So sometimes when survivors come into shelter, they need more than that, just emergency shelter. They're starting over many times. They're coming with just what they have, what they can carry. And so we have our rapid rehousing program, which is a 6-month program and helps with first month rent, security deposit, because that can be a big challenge for women. And then transitional housing is a 2-year program that can provide supportive services throughout. And so then we also have court support services that can assist survivors going through the court process.
Okay, you provide almost an innumerable amount of services. Give us an idea of who utilizes the Underground Railroad.
So women, men, we serve both men and women. Children, most of the survivors who come into shelter have children, not all.
Okay.
We serve both single women and families. But oftentimes in shelter we have more children than we have adults. So we all do focus on, we have children's services available, including a specific children's advocate, as well as an on-site licensed daycare to help serve those families. So it's really anyone, and it's there's no there's no stereotype of a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault. It affects everybody across the board, regardless of race, class, wherever you're coming from, it can affect you. So,
now there's one thing on your website that, well, actually there are several. One thing that I think is so important that anyone who's accessing your website needs to know is that you have a big button on it.
Yes.
That says Escape Now. So can you just talk a little bit about the significance of that button?
Yes, so that button will allow somebody who is browsing our site to immediately be taken to a generic non-domestic violence related site. So if somebody is thinking about leaving, looking for resources, and maybe their partner walks in and they don't want them to see that, they can click on that button and it will take them to something completely generic.
Okay,
Yep,
okay.
so it's a major safety feature.
Yeah, that is. Now, another feature on your website is you actually have a heading that says, some of them say these are the signs of physical abuse, these are the signs of emotional, mental abuse, financial abuse. Why do you think it's necessary that you have that topic and then you have all those bullet points underneath for people to be able to get a visual of what are the signs of those different types of abuse?
I think it's really important that we have that because domestic violence is so much more than the stereotypical, black eye that we often see portrayed in the media. It encompasses all of those areas: emotional abuse, financial abuse, and in domestic violence we talk about the toad in hot water analogy. So typically if you put a toad into boiling water, they're going to jump out because it's hot. If you put a toad into cold water and slowly heat it up, they're going to boil to death because it was slow. And that's kind of how domestic violence works, is it typically doesn't start out with the physical abuse. It starts out with things like controlling behaviors, emotional abuse, maybe name calling. It can be really innocuous. It can sound like, especially in a new relationship, of, I just want to spend all my time with you. I don't want you to spend time with your friends. I want to, let's just stay in. You don't need to go out with your friends. And that slow isolating from your family and your friends, making you maybe doubt yourself, that things are, you maybe get into an argument and you think that one way and then they completely change it around and make you doubt yourself.
Right.
So it's really can be a slow process, and then it tends to escalate. So it could be they show up at your job, they're keeping tabs on what you're doing, or you do go out with your friends and they're calling you every 10 seconds asking where you're at, when you're going to be home, that type of behavior. And financial abuse is a major piece of domestic violence, because once you, when there's financial abuse, often it's much more difficult to leave. If they're controlling your paycheck or if they've sabotaged your employment, you may not have the resources to get out on your own. And that really could be a step. And then it tends to escalate into a physical issue after that. And there's no direct link or steps that this is going to happen from here. It's kind of not linear, but those are still some of the things that can happen. It can escalate from there.
Well, I would really recommend anyone viewing the program to take the time to go to the website specifically to see that, because perhaps they're reading everything and being able to maybe identify themselves, if not identify themselves, identify someone else who may be experiencing that. Now, one thing you brought up is you talked about the fact that sometimes because of where a person is financially, they feel like, I just don't have any resources. What can I do? So what does the Underground Railroad do in the event that someone is thinking about the fact that it's going to cost me something to get out of my circumstances?
Yeah, so we really try to provide as many resources to eliminate as many of those barriers as we can for survivors who are looking to leave an abusive relationship or a domestic violence relationship. So they can get connected to our services a variety of ways, through our crisis line, our text line, or just walking in to meet with an advocate. And once you're connected with the services, we do an assessment and kind of sit down and talk with you about what what are your needs? What goals do you have? If you haven't left yet, we can do some safety planning with you, making sure that you're safe and that you have a plan if things do escalate. And then we can get you connected to resources in the community, either through us or other service providers that can help meet those needs to help you as you transition.
Okay. Now, Rachel, what would you really say to someone who's maybe even watching the program now, who finds themselves in a situation where the light bulb's gone off and they realize, this is just not the ideal, safe situation that I should be in? What can you say to someone who is just even uncomfortable about the fact of leaving, the idea of leaving?
Absolutely. First, I would say it's real. You're not crazy. We believe you, and you're not alone. Those are really important things for survivors who are maybe in that transition stage, or maybe just that light bulb went off. You're not crazy. We're here. Give us a call, text us, come on out. We can help you. We will meet you where you're at without judgment and in a confidential manner. So all of our services are completely confidential. So please reach out to us.
Okay, and I really hope that that's the case. Seeing that this is a dominating factor in our culture, that it affects 1 in 3 women. I really hope that, if someone finds himself in that kind of situation, that they're calling right now, because I understand that it is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week access, either through text, obviously the internet,
Yes.
and also by phone.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Rachel, we only have around a minute to go, but I do want our viewers to know about an event that you have coming up.
Yes, we have our Advocates for Change Luncheon coming up May 10th. It's going to be at the Horizon Center from noon to 1. We're doing it a little differently this year, so you're going to be able to come out and learn about our different services during that event. And there are more details on our Facebook page for that event and all of our upcoming events all the time. So.
Okay. Well, Rachel, I want to give you the opportunity to just share what is really rewarding, or what has been one of the most rewarding aspects of your involvement with Underground Railroad. And I can only give you maybe around 30 seconds, because I'm certain you have lots of stories to share.
I do.
But how does this really reward you?
So I think it does in 2 ways. Number one, I have an amazing staff who work tirelessly to empower women, and then I get to hear those success stories day in and day out, and that's really why I get up and go to work every day, is every single one of those successes, big or small.
Yeah, okay. Well, Rachel, I want to thank you so much for being on Public Report, and I really appreciate the impact that you're able to have in our community by helping women who are victims or survivors of domestic abuse. So thank you so much for being on Public Report.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I'll be right back with my next guest.
Oh, dear Lord, have mercy on your child right now. I'll pray for you right now in the name of Jesus. Oh, I pray for you. Lord, have mercy. If you need God to touch your life, I ask you just to raise that hand right now. Huh? Oh, I got to dance. Yes, Lord. Oh, thank you. Hallelujah. Oh, it's a miracle. Wah! Yes.
What's up? You look different. Man, my mom tricked me into going to church with her, and I actually enjoyed it. I even got saved.
Really?
Yeah, in the Bible right here, it says that in Romans.
Welcome back. My guests on this portion of the program are Jen Carpenter and Mike Rush with Junior Achievement. So I'd like to welcome both of you to Public Report.
Pleasure being here.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to have you on the program again. Talking about Junior Achievement is very exciting to me personally, because I know that you do so much to teach children about entrepreneurship and leadership and life skills, but I want to give you the opportunity to share precisely what is Junior Achievement.
Yeah, again, we are K through 12 education wrapped around financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and work readiness skills. And so we go right in the classroom with volunteers. They help us do it. We don't do it ourselves, very often anyway. The volunteers go in that are community members and able to teach the kids what's going on with their business a little bit, and also teach a specific program. For instance, in 4th grade, they start teaching students how to read financial statements. In 7th grade, we do mock interviews. High school, we do home budgeting and how to pay taxes and learn about mock interviews. I guess I mentioned that already. 5th grade is kind of about our nation, the different trade that goes on and things like that. So we cover a lot of different ground, but a lot of it's financial literacy and how to get ready for the workforce and be a better student, be accountable and responsible.
Okay, now I have to ask this because I would think that there may be some people watching and wonder, you know, why do you want to burden kids with that kind of responsibility? I personally see the value in it, but what can you share with the parents that are viewing so that they'll understand the significance of what Junior Achievement is bringing to their kids?
Well, it's interesting that you say burden, because a lot of people say, you know, why do our kids need more in school? But really, some of the subjects that we cover are left out in school. And we actually have a different program for kindergarten through 12th grade. So each grade is grade specific in what those kids should be learning. From kindergarten, currency identification, a fancy word for identifying coins and money. Sometimes they don't have that in their core curriculum where they can do that anymore. So that's really important. You have to know what money is to get through life. Some other things are needs and wants. So we really have some basic things in the younger years, how to save for, say, a teddy bear or a pinwheel, so they know the value of saving, up until the high school years when we teach them how to make a budget or how to save for an apartment or a car. So they're really relevant subjects that we're teaching these kids just to have great life skills and be successful in their own lives.
And I really love that because that is so important. Well, tell us about the area, the region that you're able to cover and impact.
Yeah, since we've merged back in July of 16, we're now covering 18 different counties, pretty much the middle of the state, Saginaw Bay, Midland, east over to the Thumb area, and then up to Alpena. So we're covering 18 different counties, which is encompassing right now 500 to 600 programs and 12 to 13,000 students. So.
Okay, that's really impressive.
Yeah, we're
now,
getting there.
can we just talk a little bit about how long Junior Achievement has been around?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that, because it's a big year for Junior Achievement. We are a local franchise, however, we are part of JA USA and JA Worldwide. So we are everywhere. And JA Worldwide is celebrating 100 years next year. So it's a really big deal for us. And some people may say, wow, Junior Achievement's been around for 100 years. Well, that's a great thing, because every year we have several programs that are redeveloped by specialists in this field to keep our programs both relevant in the classroom to what's going on today, as well as in technology. So our programs really stay up to date, and they've passed the, what is the saying? They've been proven over time.
Yeah.
So we
Time
just
tested.
thank you, time tested. So we really keep improving. So after 100 years, they really know what they're doing. We've got some really great, exciting programs out there for the young kids.
Okay, now how can counties ensure that Junior Achievement is available to them? What can we do to make sure that Junior Achievement is throughout the state of Michigan, if that's possible?
A lot of it relies upon us making presentations to different groups. And for instance, we're just getting involved with the pigeon schools, and that came out of a Rotary presentation I did a few months ago. And that'll be a new county for us, a new school system for us, but we need the money to do it as well.
Okay.
And so that's the other side of it. To get the volunteers is one thing, and to get the money is another thing. It kind of takes a bunch of stuff to come together for a program to work out.
Okay, well then let's talk a little bit about funding. Typically, how are you funded?
Well, there's so many ways that we are funded. We have grants through local grants, through businesses, corporations. Really, one of our main funders is our local businesses, corporations, small business. We have some local businesses that will adopt a grade or a classroom or even a whole school, which is really
Okay.
nice, because then what they'll do is they not only fund the programs for the school, but they'll send their volunteers in. So those schools really get to know their volunteers. I've got a couple businesses that have been doing this for years, and they celebrate Christmas with the kids, and it's a great opportunity. Every opportunity is different depending on what business, what volunteer goes into that classroom. We've got Frankenmuth, where they go into the Bavarian Inn and they get to see behind the scenes. Who gets to see that? We've got some local businesses, Duperrin, Glass Tender, that they really get to see what it takes to work in these places, what they need to know, and how these programs are relevant to getting them there.
Okay, I really love that. Well, I really want our viewers, perhaps business owners that are watching right now, to kind of know step by step what they need to do so that they can connect, so that they will be able to adequately provide staffing through their businesses. What requirement or commitment are you looking for, specifically if someone is a small business owner?
Yeah, from a business owner standpoint, it's going to take roughly 10 hours of your time for whatever program you run for us. And an hour, that's probably the orientation part. And other than that, you go into the classroom 5 or 6 times for 45 minutes apiece, and it's a really good opportunity for you to promote your business and get involved in the classroom and support your local community.
Okay. Now, I would imagine over the 100-year time span that Junior Achievement has been around internationally or nationally, that you have been able to make a lot of strides just locally and have a tremendous impact locally. So can we just talk a little bit about the statistics? What are you learning about the impact of Junior Achievement?
Yeah, there are a lot of stats out there. For Junior Achievement, it has a big impact on students staying in school and graduating, a big impact on them furthering their education, going to college, a big impact on them deciding to go into the skilled trades if they find a mentor that comes in and has that as their background. And they do follow the mentors that teach the classrooms. They kind of follow the career of that person to a large extent, over 20% going into the same field that their mentor did. So they have a really big impact on the students that they do mentor.
That is really impressive, because I think it's so important to have children exposed to individuals in our community, businessmen, businesswomen, and just get that up close and personal idea of what it takes to be involved in entrepreneurship. So that's really exciting to hear.
That's great, yep. They're able to show how hard you have to work to be an entrepreneur and stay in business, so, but how rewarding it is as well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the new programs. First of all, I understand that you have been merged for a little bit over 1.5 years.
Right, yep.
So since the merger, what type of programs have come out of that?
Yeah, Jen's done a really good job with a couple different programs in particular. So Jen, I'll go ahead and explain those.
Yeah, our merge was really exciting because it gave us the opportunity not only to better service our students and our constituents and our donors, but specifically add some programs that were very high impact that maybe we didn't have enough time to do before.
Okay.
Two specifically were our Explorer Post that we partnered with Boy Scouts and the Saginaw Youth Protection Council to really bring students together with businesses and visit on location. So again, they would go into their businesses, you know, some really great local businesses, Consumers Energy, Duperrin, Yo and Yo, and they would not only learn a life lesson, which would be a JA program, but again, learn how to get the jobs there, how to get promoted, how to keep your job in these businesses. And then Mentor Circle was, we had our second Mentor Circle this February. It was a great success, and it was specifically for girls. And we brought together businesswomen in the area, and students from about 4 or 5 different counties joined us. And we matched, we had JA lessons, mock interviews, many different lessons, some keynote speakers, but they really got some one-on-one time with these mentors, these wonderful women in the area, to really emulate their career paths and really formulate their own goals from these great women that they met that day. So we plan to continue that.
Yeah, it's a great
And
program.
Possibly, we've been talking about some exciting developments that we would like to do that for the young men.
Yeah, for young men as well.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
maybe
would
put
be
a little twist
wonderful.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I would
So
really
stay
like to
tuned for
see
that.
that
Yeah,
happen.
that might
Mike will
come up
be
in the
talking
near
about that
future.
one next year.
Right, hopefully.
Yeah, that would be fantastic to have
Yep.
that. Well, you only have a few minutes remaining, and I really want our viewers to take ownership of some of the things that we've talked about. So can we specifically target the greatest needs of junior achievement?
Boy, yeah, I guess from our standpoint, it's always funding, of course, and then volunteers.
Absolutely.
Both of those kind of go hand in hand. We have a lot of demand for our programs, just can't fill all the needs from a volunteer standpoint or a monetary standpoint. So please give us a call, go to our website and contact us, and we're happy to talk you through whatever we can get you involved in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And another way to get involved is we have a great board of directors, and and we really, Mike and I can't do everything we would like to do in 18 counties, so we really count on a great board to reach out into the communities and advocate for us, and sometimes even fundraise for us. So we're always looking for people that are really interested in our mission and just hearing more about it to get involved.
Okay. Well, I really hope that as a result of today's program and all the other information that you're able to just get out there across a lot of media outlets, that people have a better understanding and working knowledge of junior achievement. And on a personal level, I just really applaud you for what you're able to do and how you're able to get children really excited about that aspect of taking ownership of their lives financially and otherwise. So Jen and Mike, I thank both of you for being on Public Report and for the diligent work that you're doing all across the counties
Yes.
of our area. So
Thank you, Rhonda. Thanks for having us.
well, thank you
Good
both
job,
for
Jen.
being on Public Report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, be sure to join us the next time on Public Report.
This has been Public Report. Public Report discusses the issues of interest and importance to our viewing area. Please remember that the views expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of TCT or the station. If you have questions or comments, write to Public Report, 2865 Troutner Drive, Saginaw, Michigan, 48604.
Hey, this is T.D. Benton from the Traveling White Collar Sideshow, and I wanted to share a little bit about honesty, integrity, passion, and purpose with our lives. Honesty, getting what we struggle with off our chest, our addictions, what consumes our lives, whether it's texting, video games, the internet, jobs, schools, bills, our everyday life of culture, getting what we struggle with out in the open so we don't deal with it anymore, so it doesn't consume our mind. Integrity, making smart decisions, recognizing temptations, everything that consumes our life, and putting Christ in that moment of dealing with the temptation. Your life becoming a walking ministry for God, a living, breathing example, and put the focus on Him and not what today's culture consumes your mind with.